Hi, my name is Laura and my family and I own Rethunk Junk by Laura. We have a fabulous furniture paint line that is so easy and so simple to use, and we're going to show you today how quickly you can paint an end table piece of furniture like this with our products. And we even have a clock going here so you can see how quickly we get this done. Step one is the prep. This cleans the piece, gets rid of any oils, greases, dirts. You think your piece is clean and then you start spraying it and whole nother story. You spray it on, let it sit for a little bit so it does its thing. It kind of etches into the commercial finish, gets rid of that shine, and really makes the piece clean and ready for the paint to adhere. So spray it on. I tell most people in the paint class, when we do a paint class, spray it on. I would walk away and have a Hershey bar. Most people I know would walk away and have a celery stick. Come back, wipe it down. No rinsing, no water. You just want to clean it. That's why we use the prep. Next step, you're ready to paint. Shake, shake, shake. There's no priming. There's no sanding before you start. You just jump in and paint. I'm using gray mist, which is a beautiful color, and I'm using a sample so you can see how far a sample goes, because it goes a lot farther than you think it's going to. We don't use fancy brushes. Just going to jump right in and put the paint on. First coat, your goal is to put the paint on and not have a lot of drips. You just want to cover, but it's not going to be the last coat, so don't worry about being real careful. I'm just putting it on. I'm going to move the drawer here so you can see the base of the table. And I'm not a clean, neat painter because I find that if I take the time to be clean and neat, I never get everything done. And the fun of it is finishing it and seeing what you've rethunk. See how I use the paint on the table? I'm so into recycling. Okay, so it doesn't even have to be full coverage on this first coat. You just want to get it on there. Okay. It's not very exciting, you can't see the back. The next step we're going to do is turn a fan on. You want a fan turned on so the paint will dry. The longest part is going to be the dry time. If you don't have a fan, if you've got a fan on, it can be done in a jiffy. I don't have to paint on the inside because my drawer is going to go in there, and you want to put the least amount of paint possible on the piece because you're adding moisture. And you want it to dry quick. The only time I really kind of pay attention to brush strokes, because they go away with the second coat, is on the top. And I get the paint on the top and then go side to side so that you've got all one direction with your brush strokes. And we are done with the first coat. Now we just need it to dry so we can start our second coat. All right, first coat's dry. It's a little bit wet on top, but I'm going to go ahead and start on the bottom and work up, which is what I usually do when I start a piece anyway, so that you can move it around with the top. If you leave the top for last, you can hold on to it and move your piece around. So this we want to be our last coat. So I'm going to be a little bit more careful on this coat. Load your paintbrush with a little bit more paint. Look, I'm telling you this and I'm doing the back first. Okay, let's do the front. Load your paintbrush with a little bit more paint and be careful. Don't go over and over and over it. The paint covers really, really well. If there's a spot you're not liking, just leave it alone and come back to it. If you go over and over and over it till you get it perfect, you're going to re-wet the paint and pull that first coat off. It's a whole lot easier to come back in if there's a little spot that's bothering you when you're done and touch that up. I'm taking a little bit more time on the second coat because I want it to be my last coat. And the drawer. See how pretty that is? Okay. After this we get to distress, which is my favorite part. See, I'm putting a little bit more paint on this time, and I'm not going over and over and over it. And when it dries, it'll be really, really pretty. This paint has some sealer in it. We don't wax. We're gonna glaze. That'll be on a different piece. But you can paint and be done. There's no waxing. Nothing has to happen on top of the paint in order for it to be beautiful. And remember when you're painting that you're gonna distress. So it doesn't have to be perfect as far as just that goes either, because you're gonna run the sander over it. So lower your standards. Don't do it if you're anal. And we're just about done with the second coat. I usually just slap the paint on top and then smooth it all out, because then I don't have to keep dipping over and over again. And we're almost done. Keep that brush strokes the same direction you had them on the first coat when you're doing the top. And we're done. Second coat ready to dry so we can distress. Okay, so we talked about how the fans were the key to getting the paint to dry fast. They don't do much for your hair, so paint on today when you're not going somewhere fancy. We are dry, second coat is dry now, and we're ready to distress. You can use hand sandpaper if you want. It's no fun, and if you waited till the next day, this would be so stuck and so cured on there that it wouldn't be any fun at all, and it would be really hard to get it off. We use an electric sander, kind that looks like an iron, and you can get it at any home improvement store, and they're usually around 29 bucks. So I'm gonna distress, which means I'm not gonna visit with you for a moment because it's gonna be really loud and I would yell. And when I'm distressing, my husband asked me if everything we own has to look like it has been drug around the block behind a pickup truck, and yes it does, because that's when it's really pretty. And you're gonna wanna hit the edges that would hit the road behind the pickup truck, where it would wear with normal wear and tear. Usually less is more on the distressing, or it ends up looking kind of like leopard print or cowhide or something like that. So I'm gonna go for it and start distressing. This part is so much fun! And in case I forgot to mention it earlier, we use 80 grit sandpaper. And then the really fun finishing touch is the hardware. This had a nasty piece of hardware, which I don't see anymore. I was going to show you how gross it was. And we're going to change it out and put something fabulous on here. And in, looks like, under 30 minutes, we have something wonderful. The paint has sealer in it. You can see it's not really flat and chalky like some other products are out there. It has a really pretty sheen to it, and it is finished and ready to sit somewhere in your home.